Although now I'm kind of regretting not using some sort of an intro. Because usually we come in and people are hopefully at least laughing or doing something. If I look distracted throughout this show, there's a stink bug right there. And he's just out of reach.
A what?
A stink bug. They're these little beetle-looking things, and they just get into everything. Like, there's nothing you can do about it, because they can get super flat, and now that the weather's cold outside, they're coming in, and they're not really harmful or anything. They sound like little helicopters when they're flying by you. They drive the cats nuts, and then when if you kill them, they stink, hence the name. I'll see if I can get a picture of it.
Like they blow up like a bomb or something when you step on them?
That's exactly what happens, yeah. A little poof.
Of just stench.
Hey everybody, welcome to VM Live. I'm your host, Jack Rollins, and with me, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jeffrey Hoffman.
Hello. Hey guys, how are you?
All right, how you doing, buddy?
I don't have any crazy intro.
That's fair. And then we have our buddy Adro here. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. Happy it's Friday.
Yes. And we have our producer, Evan. What's going on, dude?
I'm here. That's good.
Sometimes that's enough.
Mm-hmm. Glad to have you.
Yeah, you missed the last week, and we might get into why here a little bit later in the show. And obviously, our admin, Bob, is not here. He's feeling a little under the weather. So hopefully we'll have him back next week. And speaking of that kind of stuff, we're still kind of trying to figure it out, but we're probably going to be taking a little bit of a break. It's here. We're coming up on Christmas, and people have stuff to do, and we have a backlog of some of our live talks, and so we'll still be releasing podcasts, but VM Live is probably going to take a little bit of a break because the way we have it slated now with it being on Friday nights, we'd have a show on Christmas Eve, and then we'd have a show on New Year's Eve. And we're still up in the air on whether or not we're going to do it. And if we do it, we may just do it in the server and have a little bit of fun with that. So if we do that, and we'll make an announcement about it before we decide to, and you want to be a part of it, that's my plug for joining the Discord server, because we can have everybody be a part of the show, and it can be a lot of fun. So that's that. For tonight's topic, I don't know if you guys remember it was technically the second VM Live we did, but it was the first one we released, because the very first VM Live we did was
we were learning.
Yeah, we weren't quite, not that we're
rookies.
not that we're like, okay, we can win, awards
Season
now.
bets now.
Yeah, right. Well, the very first one we did was a round table, which I kind of want to produce, because there was a lot of good content on there. But it just, technically, it was pretty dry, and it was, people were not using the right microphones. I think Bob, I don't know what he was using. I think he was using one of those microphones. Adro's probably got one on the table that, you get your kids.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like one of those ones. It's just the spring, it's not connected to anything. I'm pretty sure that's what he was using. Yeah. But we, afterwards, we realized, as we were just kind of hanging out and having a good time afterwards, we were still having kind of pretty deep conversations, but we were a lot more loose with it. And so we decided that would be kind of an interesting thing to do versus having the kind of panel that we did. And then the first episode, we were still a little bit monologue-y, and it just kind of went person. Mm-hmm. There was no interrupting or disagreeing or conversation. It was just people talking. And then the second one, we had this I think anyway, bullshit topic. Cause I was, we're trying to come up with topics, and it was why can't men emote or something like that? That sounds really good for SEO. And, but to have a conversation about it, none of us are experts, and we'd just be kind of talking, and I didn't like it. And then that day, the shit hit the fan for a couple of us. And so we just decided to vent, and we went on there and we just complained, and we were laughing. Mm-hmm. We were kind of making fun of each other a little bit, but we were being open, and I was really, really, really proud of that episode. So I'm hoping we can do a little bit of that tonight. I don't know what's going on in everybody's lives. I've kind of not been able to be around as much over the last couple of days, so I'm interested to see what everybody's been up to. Jeff, I know that for you, it's growing plants.
Eating plants.
Yeah. Your basement
you can just
salads.
take the last clip. This week hasn't had.
Yeah,
a lot of
I should just do that. Although I don't know, this is for the video viewers. Did you guys notice Jeff's couch is properly lined up now?
Centered. Yeah.
Like that drove me nuts.
Everything.
Where's the cat? We need the star of the show.
Oh, he'll be back. He's right behind the chair. Actually.
He's our show mascot.
That and your stink
Hey,
bug.
he's been on more episodes than some of our cast members, the cat. So I mean, to be fair,
Bob, just kidding, Bob. We love you.
One of the things that we discussed, we were kind of discussing on the server today. I and if I'm getting this wrong, Adra, I know you were there on that discussion, so you could maybe correct me. But it was a kind of a question that came up of like, has anybody ever turned down sex, like as a guy?
I think Nako put it as like on a date, and then like you and I kind of just ran with it, like just in general.
Right, because we were joking because we were talking about doing a Visible Man Christmas album, and we were just kind of having jokes back and forth.
Wait, how did that transition from Christmas album to like turning down sex?
I think I said Nako. No,
okay.
I think
got it.
I said the album should be all of us naked because it was like a Visible Man Christmas, and then just holding like jingle bells over our parts, and Santa hats.
Over our jingle bells.
Yeah, and then Adra, I think, made a joke something about how he doesn't do that kind of stuff on the first date. I should take him out,
first.
And then that kind of went into hey, have you guys ever had sex on the first date or turned down sex on the first date? And so I kind of want to ask you guys, like, if you can think about it, have you ever turned down like a potential hookup? I'm not counting full on relationships because there are weird circumstances that can come with that. But if you've never turned it down in a relationship either, I guess that's, but have you ever turned down, like, nope, for no reason. The girl generally is there or could be there quickly, or you're at their place or whatever. So it's available, you don't have to put any effort into it. Because I know, Jeffrey, you've turned things down because they were outside of the 2-mile radius and you just didn't feel like driving. That doesn't count.
It's gas prices. That's
all it really is.
I'm just trying
he's
to
sitting there and he's like, you know what? I already changed into my pajamas. I'm tired.
Yeah. I'm like,
he's like calculating like the mileage on his car and like the wear and tear.
It's like,
got to protect that Jetta.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like for me, it's funny because when you answered, I didn't even think of like how you answered it, like because I was just thinking straight like with like when Nako was saying like on dates or like when like presented with it, right, with the opportunity to like they're in person. So for me, that answer is like no, like no.
Okay.
Every time
you never
hard pass.
Every time it's been presented to me, I will not turn it down. And I even joked on the server that there was. The girlfriend at the time, I was 18 and I got rear-ended pretty bad, and I had a concussion.
In your car?
Yeah, like someone rear-ended me on the freeway.
And this is going to lead to turning down sex. The end of the story.
No, it's not.
No, he's not. Because he said he never have.
I never have.
So this is a body cast.
Right. Okay.
Asking the doctor to cut a hole open in one area so we can.
Jaws of life. I need it.
I need some Jaws. Sounds like a bad like porno.
All right.
Yeah, at the doctor. No, but like I had a concussion, and like still like that night, like I put in the story, I power through it, but Nako's like you plowed through it.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a good follow-up. Yeah.
Yeah, but the way you presented it, where it's like opportunities for, it's like if I'm not, like I have turned that down. Like if they're like, hey, you want to come over, and for whatever reason I say no, like I've done that, but no, in person, like presented with it. No, I've never turned it down.
Okay. And Jeff, let's just assume this person was within a 2-mile radius, and they asked you at 5:30 in the afternoon, so you'll be back by 8:30.
I can be asleep at 8:15. I can take my fiber pill.
Yeah, that's already set out on the counter for you. Nice. You have your overnight oats.
I did.
Right
okay,
there.
So I did. This was a couple years ago, and I met this woman online, but it wasn't through a dating app. I forget what the app was. It was, I don't know. And we were, this was I think a second, first, I don't know. We were in my car and she literally got on top of me. Mm-hmm. And I just had this bad feeling about like she was very I don't want to say, she just didn't seem stable, and I'm like, this feels like I could be getting into myself into a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. So I turned it down.
Okay.
It would have been trouble, but it would have been fun, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I was
and she was cute, and I was like, what do I do here? So I turned it down.
I think that's a little bit of a sign of maturity.
A lot of maturity.
For me, that was at 21. I would not have. I would have been like, let's go for the ride. You know what I mean?
It was the first point in my life where I was like, wow, I think I'm a grown up now.
At 31, I wouldn't turn it down. I'm 33.
Still waiting for that day.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you turned it down then, and then you've turned it down quite a few times when that person was outside your mile radius. No, I am kidding when I'm saying that. It just, we joke with Jeff because he goes to sleep.
4 mile.
Yeah, it's 4.
Yeah.
1 mile under. Isn't the lowest Tinder 5? Like, you're just like, no, you gotta be closer than that.
Yeah, it's
you gotta be feet.
Like walking distance.
Yeah. I need to be able to step out onto my lawn and
can I see
your
you
house.
from here? No, I forget it. I'm gonna go to bed. That used to not be the case. One time I drove an hour.
Oh yeah, that's nothing, dude. My ex, when we were first dating, I was an hour and a half away, and I would do that a couple of times a week. And that wasn't to have sex. That was just to be around, like, I don't think, we should have that should be one of the questions, is we should see how far the guys have gone for sex. You know what I mean? Just to see the reverse of that. Of like,
we're doing like hours like driven or hours flown.
Hours driven, flown. Yeah.
Oh wow! How many
area codes over? Yeah.
Europe, I guess.
South America's okay. Europe, I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. But one thing that, and so when I had commented, I brought up a time where I was it was a bachelor party with a buddy. And we had come home, and we're all, I was probably 20, 21 at the time, and we were all smashed. And his soon-to-be wife, they had their bachelorette party on the same night. So then her friends came back to their place, and so we were all in the same place, and we're kind of drinking whatever. And I ended up passing out on the couch, and this girl came up and started kissing me when I was like, not really there. And
this is a bride-to-be or just a friend?
No, this is just one of the girls in the bachelorette party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would have been real bad.
I was like, hey,
but there was no attraction. There was no, no beer goggles kind of thing. I didn't want to. I was smashed. I didn't want to, and she was forcing herself on me, and the only reason she stopped is because I started to make a commotion, and she was a big girl, so like there was an element of like. She was like 300-400 pounds, so she was a lot bigger than I was, and I'm also really, really, really drunk, so I'm not, able to properly defend myself. And that story sounds pretty familiar coming from a female, like that's unfortunate, but that's something where if a girl told you that, it's like, well, yeah, that, and it kind of came out that there was even with beer goggles. Why didn't you sleep with her? Like, you should have slept. Like, why not? And there was kind of, and to me, it kind of, that's what I would say. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of almost came close to saying it to you, Jeff, with the, the crazy girl, where we're just like, why not? Go for it. Like, why are you turning this down? And there wasn't a question of the fact that I was sexually assaulted. And, if I had done the same thing to a girl, I'd be in jail, and that's how it should be, but there has to be a reminder that I didn't want to have sex. The reason why I didn't want to have sex is irrelevant. It doesn't matter that I didn't find her attractive. It doesn't matter that I was drunk. It has no, it doesn't matter. I didn't want to have sex with you, so you shouldn't be putting yourself on me, but what we do is we tend to do that is we say, why not, and you would never hear that. You would never hear that from a from a girl saying that to her girlfriend who was sexually assaulted,
just like, why not just,
yeah. And it took me years to even kind of even realize it, that's what that was,
like what to call it.
Yeah. And I just found that kind of interesting because we don't call it what it is. And we question why, we question why I didn't want to have sex with her, not why she did that. You know what I mean? And why I had to like basically scream and stuff to try to make a commotion because it was too shit-faced to fight. And she weighed like 400 pounds, and at that time I was like $150, so I just found that interesting that's how we ask. And it reminded me, and I don't know if I've said it on the show before, but Adro, we were kind of talking about it. That reminded me, I used to be a part of an Irish, like a Catholic Irish club. And on St. Patrick's Day especially, we would be wearing kilts. And it's one thing to ask somebody what's under their kilt, because that's kind of, they want to check and see if you're regimental, so people will just, if you ever wear a kilt, people will ask you, what's underneath, because regimental means nothing, you know what I mean? Like you're supposed to free ball in a kilt, and people would ask you that, and that's not that bad. Like, it's still kind of inappropriate. I would never walk up to a woman and be like, are you wearing underwear? But it was no problem. People laugh, like I'm trying, at 1 year I was bartending, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to work, and then every time I would wear a kilt at any of these events, and I wasn't alone, like this just happened, there would be woman after woman after woman, usually between the age of like 45 and 60 and just drunk, who would just reach up and check. They wouldn't even ask.
Oh, really?
And I'm not talking about sliding up the leg. I'm talking about full on for the video.
Wow.
Boom, boom.
That's crazy.
And I don't know you, and they're laughing. They think it's funny. And, yep, he's regimental. You know what I mean? And they would just do that. And instead of being offended, I'm supposed to either think it's funny, that some person I don't know who's drunk walked up to me, reached underneath my kilt and grabbed my balls, or I'm supposed to be happy that I'm getting the attention. And it doesn't sound that bad, because I'm not comparing the experiences like an overall of like, that was, 3 nights out of the year for me, when that stuff would happen, and women have to deal with aspects of this every day. I'm not comparing it like that, but I do find it interesting that would be sexual assault. But to everybody else with a guy, that's a joke. That's expected. That strangers
make me cringe, make me uncomfortable.
Are going to walk up and grab your balls. You know what I mean? And it was irrelevant whether or not I wanted it. And it doesn't matter. Like, she could be hot. She could be like, I might hit that up later. But like, that decision was taken from me, both with this woman when we were drunk, and then St. Patrick's Day. And I find it interesting that it reminds me, there was an episode of South Park where I don't remember whose little brother, but he was the little kindergarten. He's a little Canadian.
Kyle's little brother.
His little brother hooks up with like
baby.
hooks up with like a preschool teacher, and the episode, that's the point, is that, I mean, it's clearly for humor because he's like preschool age and it's a grown woman, but when this started to get out that she was sleeping with him, all the guys, including like the cops and everything like that, would just sit there and they go, nice. Like, he pulled that hot chick. Good for him, and that's what the kind of the point of the episode was. It was like, it's still, and we've all done it. Like, you've seen some of these stories that come out. I mean, there haven't been many lately, probably because of COVID, but like you'd see it, and there's the one where I think they got married or something like that, or at least tried to. And she was pretty hot. And so you're sitting there like, my 15-year-old mind, you're like, well done, dude. Well done. But then you think back to who you were at 15 and you're like, there is a age of consent for a reason, because I was an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have the capacity at that point. But when it comes to the guys, it does seem that we don't, as a culture, because we were all joking around about that in the server, about me turning her down. Like, we were joking about it, all of us. And is that appropriate? Should we be doing that? Should we be taking that as seriously? I mean, like, what do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's the same. I think when you said when the roles are reversed, it's called sexual assault, but I think it's still sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
But we just don't culturally talk about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's, I don't know. I think it's still the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm disappointed I missed the conversation. I don't think consent has a gender.
Mm-hmm.
Either asking for or granting, or there shouldn't be any gender roles when it comes to consent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump to break real quick, but before we do, I just kind of want to say, like, for the guys, because this has come up before, don't fear asking the woman if you can hold her hand, if you can kiss her, if you can, have sex with her or whatever. You do it right, and I'm telling you, it's a turn on. I've heard so many women say that
consent part.
of you, just the consent, but like that's huge. But then just flat out saying, "Look, like, hey, can I kiss you?" Trust me, it goes a long way. So do not be afraid of sounding like an idiot for asking for consent literally every step. So anyway, we're going to go to break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We're supposed to be having music, new music coming in here in the next couple of episodes, hopefully by the beginning of the new year. I cut out a lot of the songs we were using, the like cheesy bossa nova shit. We had a couple of really like deep and sometimes, for better or for worse, like dark conversations, and then you come into like happy, like we were talking to Adro about that time on Thanksgiving. It's like, oh shit. Like, what music do you play though? Like, do you just kind of let it go? Do you come in on like do you call like a hard break where you just come in with no music because it's serious, or right? Do I play something cinematic? I have to look it up and see what music they play. Anyway, Evan, you weren't here last week because of something pretty awesome. I believe we did tell people that you had surgery. I think you told everybody you were having surgery.
Yeah.
Which made me feel comfortable telling everybody you were at surgery. So I guess if you're cool with it, can you tell us a little bit about what the surgery was and kind of what have you?
Last Tuesday, November 30th, I had top surgery. It's chest surgery for trans men, and it's something that I'd been counting down for several months. It was rescheduled once, and then COVID kind of started making me feel nervous that it might get canceled or scheduled again, but successfully completed the procedure. And so, last Friday was not a good day. Not a good day. There were a lot of not a good days. A lot of not good days. I don't know. Surgery, I guess, can be kind of deceptive because the nerve blocks they use, your pain doesn't really set in right away, I don't believe. So actually, Jeff drove me home from the hospital. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Hey, Jeff, was he
then.
Was he like high as a kite, like saying all sorts of just terrible shit?
He was great.
He was like, I don't believe the COVID, man. This is bullshit from the government.
I can
that's definitely what I would be saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Painkillers were working on Evan that day because I was like, wow, he's really good. This is good. And then
Evan was talking hella shit about VM, like those assholes. They can't do the show without me.
No, so like the second day after, the pain just really got quite intense. Not the surgery. The surgery itself is pretty straightforward as far as procedures go, but they put a couple drains in, right under my armpits, and I don't have a lot of tissue here at all. So they got quite painful because it's just, you know, it's ribs and skin and some nerves. So that's where most of the suffering was coming from.
Okay.
But those came out on Tuesday of this week, and then just went way uphill since then.
Yeah.
Feeling fantastic now.
Awesome.
So
Good. Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
It was a rocky ride.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine that kind of. I mean, like I've had surgery before, but nothing like major like that. And so I that's one thing that like scares the crap out of me is that not the surgery itself. It's like 2 days later when you don't have the good drugs, and it's just and there's nothing you can do about it. You just gotta take it. So you're feeling a lot better now. Okay.
Yeah.
Emotionally, how does it feel to have that? I've never had anything that could come close to that, and probably never will.
Yeah, it's I haven't processed it yet emotionally. These milestones all seem to hit a little differently.
Yeah.
So this one I think is maybe on a shelf for a little bit.
Okay, so this is like 6 months down the road. Like you'll just be like, "Damn," and then you'll kind of, okay.
Yeah, I mean it's strange because I knew I was trans just this year, but some part of me has wanted to have this procedure done for at least 10 years. When I first started getting mammograms is when that thought first started breaking through. So every year it was like, I wonder, you know, it's weird to think of things in these terms, but I think, you know, these ideas about gender kind of poke through wherever they can get through. And there was always this thought like, I wonder, you know, what would happen if this came back and showed something, and then I could have a mastectomy.
So you were hoping that they would be like, cut it off.
Yeah.
Not wishing anything, but there was always like, maybe I'll get a mastectomy. Just not really making connection as to what that actually meant. But yeah, so I think it's going to take a while to really have this land.
Okay.
But it looks good.
It does.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to commend you on that for, on social media and stuff. You've been really open about it.
Yeah.
And, I remember it was a couple of days ago, you posted about it, and it was like, there was just like this, I guarantee it, like a collective, like, fuck yeah, from everybody on the server who saw it. Like, hell yeah, dude. And
for
so
sure.
I mean, I have nothing, and I doubt Jeff or Adro have anything that they can kind of compare that to. So, I just, good for you, dude. Good for you. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. What else were we? Oh, the ranting part. So, Jeff, you had a pretty good week. It figures on the episodes where I'm like, let's rant. You're like,
I was like,
I was out of Cheerios.
I had it honestly above average week. So. Okay.
And then Adro, of course.
I'll take a pass on the bitching.
Right. Adro, of course, has been living it up on the Christmas stuff with his daughters. Jeff and I were talking the other day, and we've established that Jeff and I are at best Grinch, leaning towards Scrooge, and not Scrooge McDuck, because that would be awesome. But watching your Instagram stories, Adro, and hearing about all the stuff you're doing with the kids, and seeing all the lights and the excitement and all those kind of things, I feel like I'm living like my holidays. Happy holidays kind of thing, kind of vicariously through you, because you do such a good job at just the joy aspect of it. I cannot commend you enough on that. Like, that's just, it's so fun to watch you and your girls celebrate Christmas together.
Well, thanks, man. That, when you told me that, it means a lot to me, because the holidays, you know, like these last couple ones have been different. Like, you know, like for me personally, they have sucked because, you know, it's not the same. And I'm still trying to kind of find my groove, you know, with myself. And, you know, because I still will notice and like will look for the differences that there's been, you know. With the big one being that because we celebrate Latinos for the most part celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve, we don't do anything Christmas Day. And so in the past, we'd always go with my ex because her family is not Latino, and they would do Christmas on Christmas Day. So the past 2 Christmases we have not been together, and it's always been like a mad scramble. But what are we gonna do Christmas Day, right? So, but you know, it's the kids don't feel it, and they haven't felt it. So I do take pride in that they still have like a good Christmas, because you know I like this time of year myself personally. Like, you know, I always joke that if I didn't have kids, I'd be the one who people would think is a predator by himself at these light shows. Like, where are this man's kids?
Just sitting there with a camera, like just like looking around. Like, no, you get a job as Santa Claus, and then you're pretty much good to go.
Oh yeah. The brownest Santa you've ever seen.
I've seen all sorts of. In my previous life, I knew a guy who was a professional Santa year round. We just called him Santa Dave. Yeah, Santa Dave.
I knew a guy who knew a guy.
Right. I will insert a link somewhere if it's still around of Santa Dave. I mean, he was year round beard. I mean, he would do St. Patrick's Day. He'd be like Santa with a green outfit or whatever, and he loved it. Because apparently one of the biggest things they do off season is gigs for like college girls' parties. And so he's sitting there like, this is baller, man. Like, he's like, I go to a party and have a bunch of drunk co-eds just all over me. And it's like, that doesn't sound terrible. And the weird part about this story, though, is
That's not the weird part.
No, it gets weird. I should check this. So just to make sure, you'll see why. I need to double check at the end. But the woman he was dating, they refused to get married. They had been dating for a long time, but they were just not going to get married, and that's fine.
No, Mrs. Claus, come on.
Well, we asked why, and we made those kind of jokes. And so I asked why, because I met her and him at the same time. I don't know any history or anything like that. Well, she was a widower, and so that alone is fine. But her first husband's name was Dave. And this guy's Santa Dave. Yeah, he's Dave. First husband dies. Second husband, also Dave, dies. And so he's like,
"Oh my god!
Yeah, I'm not marrying you."
My goodness, bro.
I mean, you talk about a type, but we were just sitting there like, yeah, dude, don't marry her because you're cool. And we'd see him driving around. It was so cool. We'd see him driving around in like, I don't know, like a Buick or something like that. And it's weird because he's the full year round, you know, white beard and everything like that. So it's like watching Santa, you know, at like Best Buy getting like an iPod, you know what I mean? Like in his Dockers and a polo shirt. Like, it's the weirdest, you know. But yeah, you should do that, man. There's Santas of all different races and colors and all the different.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the stories because it's only the 10th. So there's still 2 more weeks.
A long way to go. Yeah.
So there's a lot more lights, a lot more activities. So stay tuned, and then we'll just, you know, because they can hear me a little bit, or I think they can, because they're close by. Wait to see what happens. Like, what they get.
You can't really.
Can you do us a favor and put your phone on like a tripod and do like Instagram Live or something like that for Christmas morning? Because that'll be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon for us. Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, they look so happy.
Yeah.
So we open presents at like midnight our time.
Oh, so right. Okay. Oh,
I will do it.
It'll be like 4 in the morning, bro.
I will.
I'll be up.
I'll do an IG live because that's going to be like the last one too.
Yeah. So. Okay. Yeah, we would do gifts the night before, and there were always pajamas. And they would always be like, "What is it?" And it was like, "They're pajamas. Just give me the damn pajamas. It's fine." Like, I wait, no. And then, you know, the next day, and our family up till like now, our family, we would do like youngest to oldest in like a circle for everybody, which took forever. Like when we go to my grandma's house, because you're just sitting there, like you'd open up a present, and people would do this. The adults would do this. Like you'd open up a present and then leave and go like have a couple of cigarettes and a beer and come back and then be like, present number 2, you know? Because like as an adult, you don't care what your second cousin who's 8 is getting. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
something. It's a Ninja Turtles thing. Like that's it. You know, whatever. But now it's just mayhem. I think they tried, like my sister and, they tried to implement that, but these kids, I mean, they just tear into them. I mean, like the tree's in danger of like falling over the way they dive in. And then we have the bulldog. So the bulldog's excited just because everybody else is excited. So like in the middle of all these just paper and stuff, the dog's just jumping all over the place. So it's,
Like
I mean, I'm like, okay, well. But I love that excitement. And so to see it come from you, Adro, is, because I don't, especially this Christmas, man, I'm not looking, as I was supposed to be going to Australia and to see my girl, and they opened the borders up kind of, and it was like, okay, this might work. And then they closed them. Yeah. And it doesn't look like the fact like they could. But I'd still miss Christmas because I'd be quarantined, which is still better than, not. But so, so I'm not going to be doing Christmas this year with her. So as much as I love to do stuff with the family, the plan and like the thing to build up to after 2 years now of not being able to celebrate any holiday just kind of got taken away from us. So that's been, I might be doing a Christmas Eve show just by myself.
just another thing. Just doing another
fucking crying. Christmas. Anyway, we'll talk more about how depressed I am after the break. The one time I ordered alcohol, it was for Thanksgiving. I ordered
2 weeks ago?
Yeah. There was no wine or anything, and I'm like, well, we gotta have wine like with Thanksgiving. So at 7 o'clock in the morning,
wine hours, all right.
I was like, I'm not leaving. I don't feel like leaving anywhere. So also nobody will sell booze to me at 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't think. I've never tried.
6 a.m. here in California.
Okay, it might not be like, I think wine and beer is different. I think that's okay, but there are like liquor you can't. I don't remember what the rules were, and holidays are funny. But I went on Instacart and found the local store, and I'm like, boom, 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 boom. And I didn't think they'd show up till 10 or 11 o'clock after the sales that I thought, well, they let them, guy shows up. And so it was like literally 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm in like my boxer briefs and in a bathrobe. And I walk up and he's like, this sounds pretty weird, but I got to ask you, are you drunk right now? I'm like, no. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, man. I want to be. Can I have my wine? They're legally required.
Yeah, right. Not 8 a.m.
Right, they're legally required to ask you that, and that has to be so weird.
And what do they do?
At least in Ohio,
give it to you if you are?
Yeah, well, like you're at least in Ohio, and probably in most states, you're not supposed to serve anybody any alcohol if they're visibly inebriated. Now, bars, obviously. There's a big pass on that because, like, I've watched. Now, I mean, if someone's puking on the bar, generally they're not going to be like, fill her up, But
another one?
Yeah, you knocked that one over. Here's another. But yeah, like if you go into a gas station or something like that, and you're like falling all over the place, they're not supposed to. At least in Ohio, they're not supposed to sell you booze, and I feel like that's a safe, fair thing to do. Although if you don't sell that person booze, there's a good chance that they'll just turn around and like.
Fight you.
Drunkenly try to beat the shit out of you over some like natty daddy. Do you guys have that? You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. You get it in the was it 21 ounces or whatever, and the 3-pack.
Can.
The 3-pack.
Oh my god, 3?
Yeah. That's what my sister and her boyfriend used to drink before they graduated up to regular Bud Light was Natty Daddy, and they would buy like 3 or 4 of those, and so there were like 3 cans, and they were like whatever that plastic, like shrink wrap, for all 3 cans of this stuff. And because I brew beer, and I don't believe that there are very few bad beers out there. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with High Life or anything like that. That's a specific type of beer for a specific type of purpose. You know what? It's got heritage. Yeah.
I haven't had it in a long time.
But yeah, it's been a while. But like, I'm not a snob is what I'm saying, but I drank that and I'm like, this is the most god awful shit I have ever had. Like that brought me back to like the natty.
College.
Ice
That's what it
days.
makes me
Yeah.
think
Oh
of.
Yeah.
gosh, the beer
College
pong
and high
with
school,
that.
bro.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that and yeah, we would do that, and Steel Reserve was the big one.
That
and
211.
Yeah, yep. And what was the other one? What's the legend behind the 211? By the way, there's some sort of a. It's like they say it's like the police code for.
It is. It's 211 is a police code for armed robbery.
Oh well, no, but it's supposed to be drunk. It's going to be a police code for something, but like, I think the legend of it is that it was a police code somewhere for, something booze related, just like 420 is the police code. So that's the thing you always hear when you're like 12 is that 420 was the police code for marijuana possession or something like that.
That is not true about 420.
You hear that. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that's what you hear. And if it is true, it's because they went, guys, everybody knows what 420 means. So let's just make the code 420. So that way everybody's like, oh, it's just pot. Don't worry about it.
420 was that was like, not, I don't want to say invented but like that phrase was, because it started out here in Northern California in the Bay Area, where it's like these two high schoolers from a city called San Rafael in Marin County, like we would meet up like on days at 4:20 p.m. by this flagpole and smoke weed. And so every April 20th at 4:20, like there is just like a mob of people and weed tourists from all over who go to this one flagpole and smoke weed. Yeah.
Evan, I need you to look that up. Our
it's like 20
independent
minutes
fact-checker.
away, 20 minutes north of San Francisco.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not really a pot smoker, so that like 420 thing, I don't.
211 was always like the joke where it was like 211s turned to a 187.
What's a 187?
It's a police code for murder, for homicide. So 211s turn to a 187.
True, man. I'm not a believer in that whole thing about how like tequila makes you angry and whiskey makes you that but
anything is possible for some Hennessy,
right? Yeah. I think what happens for somebody at least like me, I tend to just drink. Like whiskey is my go-to, but like I will drink specific things depending on the mood. And so like,
Santa.
yeah, I'm gonna drink me some Santa. But yeah, I never found that to be true. Like I would never like drink
that
tequila.
Your mood would change depending on what you drink.
Get wild. Yeah, I wouldn't drink tequila and get wild.
He's saying tequila and get angry. I drink tequila, I start crying.
I drink tequila and I want to puke because the only tequila I've had has been terrible. So, no, there was one I had that was a dark tequila and it was aged and it was like, this just tastes like whiskey. This is fantastic.
We could do this experiment on Christmas.
Let's do it. Yeah, Visible Man.
Christmas
let's promote drinking. Obviously, we're kidding, guys. We don't promote that. But yeah, totally. Let's do it.
Unless we get sponsored.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Come on, Jose Cuervo.
And it's time for break.
Yeah, on that note.
Sponsored by
Woodford Reserve. But yeah, I didn't find that was the case. The only ones that I think would make me feel a little crazier, like back in the day, which those aren't even legal anymore, and the original is like the Four Locos. But that's because you were like, that was the alcohol version of a speedball. Like you were doing a ton of caffeine and then a ton of alcohol all at once. And they were only around in that formulation for probably like
2 or 3 years.
Yeah, not even that. I mean, and it was just, you can still buy them. Like people like hoarded them.
They saved them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did for a while.
Yeah. Not that good.
The lemonade one.
Lemonade.
That was the best one.
I don't remember most of the flavors. Because I don't think I cared.
You don't remember anything on those.
Yeah, I was not drinking Four Loko for the discerning taste.
the bouquet.
Yeah. There's a guy on TikTok it's something like, and I think he's on YouTube too. He's like the unemployed sommelier or something like that, and Adro, you'd love him. He started like as kind of a joke during COVID, rating non-wine, and now people will send him like terrible booze and have him rate it as a sommelier, and he's
that's funny.
So freaking funny because he did some of the Four Locos, and then he did all of the MD 2020.
MD Mad
He did them
Dog.
all. Yeah. Which isn't
blue.
Mad Dog. That's not what it stands for.
Yeah, Mad Dog, I think, is a beer. It stands for something else.
Well,
like a
it's
name
Mad
or
Dog
something, right?
2020, but I mean that's what we all call it. It's like if you say give me a Mad Dog, that's what they're going to give you. But I think it's, I don't know, Morgan Davies, something like that. Like the
It's a
wine
name.
manufacturer is who's the actual manufacturer of that. We won't turn down sponsorships from you either. So Jeff and I are drinking. Jeff, what do you still have the
I still have the Iron Smoke.
Talisker? Oh, that's something else.
That's
Iron
what
Smoke?
I have right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the distillery that's like right down the street.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Support local.
Right.
Yeah, it's good. It's actually really good.
Yeah, good for you, man. Then I have the Woodford Reserve. This was what I was using for my pecan pies. I put a little shot of bourbon in there, and it just gives you a little bit of different. They were so good. Joe, you have water, and I believe Evan, you're drinking some Wegmans
Walmart.
Some Angry Water.
Angry Water.
Angry water.
See, I couldn't do that. I could not drink that kind of stuff while I have to talk. I would be burping. That's like one of the rules. Don't chew gum, and don't drink carbonated water while you're doing that. So, before we kind of go, first off, I'd like to hear there. I just saw what Evan posted in the chat. I would like to hear some of your specific holiday plans, because we've kind of danced around some of the stuff we do, but I'd like to, if you can, hear about what you guys are planning to do specifically. So maybe we can kind of figure out a little bit of what we'll be doing next episode or 2 episodes from now, which will be Christmas Eve. If anybody's going to be there, or if you're not going to be there, why. Maybe try to coordinate some of the video, because like Adro, I know kids, that's one thing, so there's some legal implications and stuff with that, but like if we could get some videos from people to post them, that kind of stuff, I think could be kind of fun. So plus I like, as much as I have problems with the holidays, I love hearing everybody else's stuff. So Jeff, I'm pretty sure Christmas Day you're
What do you think I'm doing?
Taking a nap?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, honestly.
Watering plants.
Yeah, just getting rid of my aphids. Normally we split the time with the girls. Normally Christmas Eve they'll go with their mom, and her family always gets together.
Okay.
This year the person on Christmas Day that they normally go to, like a family's house, she broke her ankle, and so she's probably not going to be cooking. So they're going to have Christmas probably at my ex's house. So they'll probably be with their mom Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then probably maybe second half of the day they'll be with me. But probably in the morning I'll go over, like first thing in the morning, over to as our guest this week, called it the marital house. Probably have Christmas morning there for like an hour.
Such a fucking an insult. Like, you've gotten over it, but like I could not just be like,
oh, I'm not over it. Nope, I'll come home, and so when you talk about a nap, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. It's like going into a museum a little bit, but it's very alive and well. It's hard. I mean, every creak in the floor, everything has a meaning to me.
Is it weird, like when because I had to go back to my marital home a couple of times, and the one time I went, like the stuff had been switched. And
in the house,
there,
you mean?
Like some obviously pictures. I remember one time I walked in, there was a family picture, and somebody put a sticker over my face, which I actually thought was kind of funny.
Bro,
we were divorced. Like, it is what it is.
Take the whole picture down then.
Well, they did the next time, but I mean, it was a full family picture. I totally get it, but like, yeah, to walk in there and like I saw she had this big picture that I bought her like 3 months before it all went to hell, and it's like right over the couch, and it's like, how do you look at that every fucking day? It's and this shitty part. It says it's a Banksy, print, and it says hope on it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to sit there and be like, I want to burn that motherfucker to the ground, right now. But like, how do you? Yeah, because like you see shit that's like, I bought you that, or that was like the globe bar is still there. You know what I mean? That I built. And I'm like, I'm not saying I want this, but you should throw it out. Like, this is mine.
Emotions wrapped up in it. I can say that like it's still difficult, but it's tolerable now. The first couple years, it was so incredibly difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It was so incredibly difficult. But now I'm okay now.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's way better.
Okay. Good.
You all are some strong dudes, man.
The hardest part for me is not
takes
the
a while
objects.
to get here.
Yeah, it was the cats. That was the hardest part for me because they were cats that came from my cat, who passed away, and so they were mine.
Bro.
You know, like I'm not gonna take them, from the house and from her and that kind of stuff. They're brothers, and same litter or whatever. And I'm like, do they recognize me? Do they know me? Because they were both pretty friendly, so it's they walk up to everybody. But like, do you remember me? That was the hardest part for me because like a dogs never forget.
Take them by their little shoulders and be like, "Do you remember me?"
Like dogs never forget. Like we know that, you know what I mean? But like the cats, do they give a shit?
They don't,
you know what I mean?
care.
Like there's a cat just like, yeah, I know who you are. I don't care.
Yeah, just feed me.
So that was the thing I was most scared of. That and then like seeing my neighbors. Because I think all the same neighbors for the most part. One of them passed away, just old age. But the rest of them are there, and these are people I'd like have barbecues with, and drink with, and have fun with, and it was like they're gone. You know what I mean? And it wasn't that they sided or anything. It's just you move to a different city, and shit happens. But like, yeah, driving
That's
down
surreal.
there, that was So I don't know how you could do that when you add in kids. So like you have friggin' memories of kids. Oh, that's gotta be terrible.
Thanks.
Yeah. Adriel, can you tell us? Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I think it highlights why when we watch you have these experiences with your girls, it's just they're beautiful little girls, and just to watch you guys, watch you work to create these things with them is beautiful.
Yeah,
I agree. These feelings you guys are talking about, that's what's going on, like internally, like when I'm posting these videos, but they don't feel it. So that's the important part.
You're not at the marital house, right?
Oh no. See, I consider myself lucky because when I when I found out about her cheating, I left and I have not been back. She's gotten kicked out of there since then. Right,
because you were paying. Didn't you pay her rent for a while?
I paid her rent for the first 2 months after we split because I didn't want my kids to be on the street. We just moved into a new place 3 months before I found out. And so I was only in that place and it's the biggest house I've ever lived in.
Oh, that's gotta be
my whole life. Yeah. Cause now I'm stuck in this. It's not shitty, but it's just a tiny, I don't think you guys understand how tiny apartments are here in California, especially in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I'm probably in one of your closets and I have 2 kids here.
Yeah.
But I've never been back. So I consider myself super lucky because when I left, I didn't take any of my stuff. I said, you can keep all that shit. She did give me some of the stuff back eventually, like some of it, but even then it's like after a while of it being here, I just got rid of it. So I never been back.
Yeah, I did that too. She, with the packing up of all the stuff and everything, she put some stuff in there that was like us stuff, and I think it was like, I don't want to get rid of this, so you can do that. And I'm like, I'll get rid of it. Don't care. And the funny thing is, I was gonna write a post about like, what do you do with your wedding ring? Like, do you sell it? Yeah, whatever.
Oh my God,
and I had all of the rings, and so what I was gonna do is I was gonna melt them down into an arrow and go out into Lake Michigan on the beach where I proposed to her and shoot that MFR out into the sea or into the lake, and then I lost them.
Oh, dude.
I just straight up lost them. They're somewhere in the house somewhere, I'm sure. Maybe. No idea. But I'm like, okay, well, maybe that was God telling me, like, first of all, dude, come on, that's really stupid that you were going to do all that. And second of all, like, that was it. Like, okay, problem solved. You know what I mean? Somebody else will find them eventually, under the piano or some crap. I don't know. I don't care. Like, and it was just such a relief to sit there because that was like the thing I was holding on to of like, what should I do with these? And then I went to grab them and I'm like, all right. I mean, they're probably in, I have no idea. So that was actually oddly comforting to like not have to worry about it. Like it just took care of itself.
The whole story that I could get into some other time about
my ring.
Like
we should do that. We should talk about that. I mean, there's always a possibility that someone in the house stole them and sold them, because that kind of stuff has happened before. But
For that MD, for the Mad Dog.
yeah, no, I don't think that's what they drink.
Oh, I wasn't saying like anyone in particular.
No, I know, but I'm being serious. Natty Daddy
shit.
and it's called like Johnny
Walker.
No, God, no.
Yeah, well,
That would be
that's
amazing.
expensive.
Yeah.
Johnny. It's kind of like, I don't know what it's similar to like those Rum Runner things. Like they come in like the 15, like Johnny Bootlegger. It's the same thing as Mad Dog, but like it's the off brand of MD 2020. Like that's where we're at now. Anyway, so I think we're coming up to the end of the show here, which is why I'm turning on the music. I think we might want to continue a little bit of this conversation next week with the holidays and that kind of stuff if you guys are interested. I'm really interested, just like because you do it once and then you remember stuff and then kind of things unravel. So I think the more we kind of get to talk about it, the more we're going to hear about it. I mean, we didn't really even get to hear anything about what was going on with Evan's holiday here coming up, and we've heard a little bit about Adro, but I'd like to get some of the more specific stuff. I think that'd be interesting. Anyway, thank you all for tuning into VM Live. You're welcome to join our Discord server for anybody over the age of 18. We have moderated discussions every day about men and men's mental health. Make sure you check us out on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, where we have a lot of the videos of this. YouTube, we have the live shows videotaped. We just updated our website. It doesn't look a whole lot different than the old one, but it does have posts from this year, which is pretty sweet. So, once again, guys, thank you all for listening. This is Jack Rollins reminding you that vulnerability is the ultimate demonstration of strength. Cheers.